Legends, statements, store. Ow. I'm here. Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here, and I'm so severe. Legends, statements. Legends. I'm here. Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Diva Den. I'm going to ask that everybody, if you want to comment or have questions of any of the guests or the panelists, to please do your comments on my actual live thread. If you're sharing them and commenting on those shared threads, we won't be able to see your questions or comments. So if you could please comment on the actual thread that I am going live from my page, that would be great. We have an amazing show lined up for you this evening. We're going to be talking about topics that are related to everything trans, but I'm going to go ahead and pop in my co-host really quick so we can kick it up and check in and see how everybody is doing. So let's welcome Zena.
Hey.
Donna.
Hey.
Free.
Alistair Dawn. Hey, hey, hey. How y'all feeling?
Good, good.
How have you been since the last time we were in the den?
Good. I missed the den. So it's good to be back. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. Yes, it is. It's good to be back. So everybody's been good?
I'm doing good. I just got a toothache and it's kicking my ass.
Ooh.
God knows it is.
Oh, are you taking anything?
Well, I'm taking Goody and I got some Aura gel. But this shit don't work. My mouth still hurts.
I guess it
But
don't,
luckily,
it's still crushed, so it don't hurt that bad.
No, but luckily I have a dentist appointment next Wednesday. But see, I already know what they're gonna do. They're gonna have to put me on antibiotics for 7 days to make sure it's no abscess and infected, and then they're gonna pull it. But with everything, the COVID going on, I hope it don't take another month. You know what I'm saying? For them to put me in for them to pull the teeth. But I'm just hanging in there, Chay. I'm hanging in there.
Hey, Queen. Hey, Rage. And most definitely, Queen, I'll show you. So we have so much to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
And so I want to go ahead and start off by introducing our first guest, who is, I'm so honored to call her a friend. Her name is Danica Rowan. She is an American journalist and politician of the Democratic Party. And in the 2017 Virginia election, she was elected to the Virginia House of Delegates, winning the Democratic primary for the 13th district on June the 13th and the general election on November the 7th. She is the first openly transgender person to be elected to the Virginia General Assembly, and in January 2018 became the first to both be elected and serve while openly transgender in any U.S. state legislator. It gives me great honor and privilege to bring to the den my sister, my friend, Delegate Danica Rowan. Hey,
Good deal. Hi, y'all.
How are you?
All things considered, on a scale of, hey, are we in the middle of the worst summer of my entire life versus, hey, it's a normal day in the worst summer of your entire life? A little in between. How are you?
I'm good. You know, all things, I am good. Even through the pandemic, I'm good. We're navigating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Danica, tell the viewers a little bit about who Danica Rowan is.
Sure. Well, so first, thank you all to Zakia. Thank you so much to everyone, all the panelists, for inviting me here this week. I'm so glad to be with y'all. So I represent the city of Manassas Park and the Prince William County portions of Haymarket, Gainesville, and my lifelong home in Manassas, which is where I am right here in my apartment, and I can see Manassas Park 30 seconds outside out the my window. And so I'm 35. I turned 36 in September. And as you mentioned before, I was the lead reporter of the Gainesville Times covering this area for 9 years, 2 months, and 2 weeks from 2006 to 2015. So I authored more than 2,500 news stories about the greater Prince William area. But when I get asked about, who are you, I find it interesting that people tend to default to their resume. They tend to default to their business life and to a certain degree, probably family life. I have a partner, I have a stepdaughter. And at the same time, it's just like, well, who are you? It's like, well, I'm someone who loves heavy metal. I love music. I played in metal bands for 12 years, even got to perform in Scotland and Northern Ireland and the Northeast, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic. We had a lot of fun doing it. I'm someone who loves dark humor, especially. I also have a real deep appreciation, especially right now, for people who had so much more courage to live as their authentic sense of self long before it became socially palatable for a trans person to not just run for office, but to win and to be deemed as viable. If you look back in 1969, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, and all the people involved in the Stonewall Uprising, I can't imagine the courage it took for them to be them every single day. And when a reporter asked me on the 50th anniversary of that, if you could go back in time and tell the people at Stonewall one thing, what would you tell them? I would say absolutely nothing. And the reason I would say nothing is because all they had was uncertainty. They didn't know what was going to happen, but they decided that they would much rather go into the unknown than to allow the stasis and the status quo to exist for another day. And so, in part of who I am, I draw inspiration from stories like that. And I draw inspiration from the people who have put it all out on the line to lead from the front. And those are the people who I really admire.
Awesome. So, being the first openly transgender person elected to the Virginia General Assembly in the capital of the Confederacy, how has that been?
Oh, wow. Well, so this is actually true. In the 13th district where I represent here in Northern Virginia, we have more things named after Stonewall Jackson than we do Starbucks. And I want people to really understand the context of the 2017 campaign where we won and unseated a 26-year Republican incumbent who was a self-described chief homophobe of Virginia, and re-elected in 2019. And by the way, that doesn't get enough credit, by the way. First re-elected trans state legislator in American history. That's also a thing. So,
yeah, re-elected. Yeah.
Hold on. Work, bitch.
Got this. So, what people don't necessarily understand about like where I represent, where I come from, is like this isn't, and these are all places I love, by the way, but this isn't Arlington or Alexandria or Charlottesville or Richmond even or Williamsburg. This is not the heart and soul of progressive Virginia. This is Manassas, as in like Manassas. As in, this is the district where John Bobbitt came from, okay? Like, that's the district I represent. I represent the first battlefield of the American Civil War.
Right.
And so when you talk about like, representing an area that was the capital of the Confederacy, I mean, Manassas is where it all began. And in 1861, they were fighting over transportation, over the railroad. And then I found out 156 years later, we were still fighting over transportation, And so I ran a campaign on Fixing Route 28, finding a cost-effective way to extend the Virginia Railway Express, the commuter rail line, from Manassas out to Gainesville, and just a bunch of other home cooking issues. And so people would ask me, Jack, not only what's it like being trans, but like, what's it like, talking to people? What's it like, when you're out there and do they, attack you? Do they do whatever? And I'm just like, here's the thing, like when I knock on their door, say, hi, I'm Dana Carroll, I'm running for the House of Delegates, and my top issue is Fixing Route 28, but I want to hear from you. What issues are most important to you? People aren't looking at me being like, Danica, the most important thing to me is bathrooms. I need to know where to eat. That's just like, that's not the most important issue to most people. The most important issue to most people is like, hey, I can't afford my health care. Right. Hey, we have a giant pandemic right now, and tens of thousands of people just in this county are unemployed. What can we do? That's the sort of thing that, people are genuinely concerned about. I don't get emails from constituents every day about, like, Danica, I need to know what your morning BM is like, about whether you use the women's room, your own room, or if you find a unisex public stall somewhere on Route 28 to go on. They send me emails saying, I'm having problems with the Virginia Employment Commission because my unemployment claims either hasn't gone through, it's been denied, or I'm having a problem with the bureaucracy. Can you please help me out? I get emails about, hey, I'm trying to get through with the DMV and I can't use this website or whatever it is. Can you please, have someone help me? That's the sort of stuff I deal with as a delegate. And then I also hear from trans people across the Commonwealth who are being mistreated in prison and jail right now, for example. Just heard from I just got a handwritten letter from a woman who is incarcerated in a men's prison who is having trouble getting on HRT right now, for example. I've heard from another trans woman, actually the girlfriend of a trans woman in Bland County, who was told to shave her head just so she could talk to her girlfriend. And if you know anything about gender dysphoria, and on this channel we sure do, like, that's the last thing that you got sometimes. Not every trans woman, is able to grow their hair out, like I'm fortunate and blessed to do. But for those, when you're in that position and that's all you got left, and then they're gonna take that away from you. Next thing I know is she was having suicidal ideation after that. And so standing up for the most vulnerable is something that is so critical, not just to my work, but where I think the Virginia General Assembly needs to be, and where the Democratic Party needs to be, where we return to our roots of what does it mean to support the people. That's who we have to be for. And, I don't take corporate money because of that.
So Trump recently repealed protections for LGBTQ people. What are your thoughts on that, and how does that trickle down to us in Virginia?
Well, a few things. So when he did it on healthcare, we saw it coming. We saw it coming 3 years ago, as soon as he got in there. And here's one of the funny things. It was just kind of like, oh my goodness, you mean they're going to take away healthcare. They're going to also try to exclude trans people from housing. Well, no effing kidding. We knew this was coming from the day he got in. And so, Delegate Deborah Robin, one of my former colleagues, she had put in a bill 2 years in a row. She's what?
She's watching us. She just said,
"Oh, hey, Deborah, it's good to see you." She had put in a bill explicitly to ban discrimination against trans people in health insurance and healthcare, and she carried that bill for 2 years in a row. And then, Zakia, you and me, we teamed up along with a whole bunch of other folks, and we talked to the insurers, we talked to the providers, Afton Bradley at Planned Parenthood, a bunch of other folks who were absolutely phenomenal. And this year, I was able to carry the bill, and we got it done. And we got it done in part because one of the things I was saying to my colleagues down there was like, look, the Trump administration is going to try to jack this from the ACA any day now. It's coming. The least we can do is protect our constituents who are on Virginia group plans. And that's exactly what we got done. And so, we know with that federal change.
Work, bitch.
Yeah, why not? Well, damn right. We know we have more work to do, though. And then when we won one Supreme Court case over employment, yay, we get to keep our jobs. With a catch, we lost the one about if you are a religious institution or if you have sincerely held religious beliefs or whatever, then we can deny you birth control, HRT, or, work. And so it's kind of like you win some and you lose some. And the problem is it's unlike the Ace of Spades song by Motorhead, again, love metal. It's not just you win some, lose some. It's all a game to me. So you win some and lose some. And when you lose some, hundreds of thousands of people have horrible things happen to them.
Yeah.
And so that's where, when, I personally support Joe Biden, this fall, and I'm going to work my heart out to make sure that he's elected, because he's going to, sign the Quality Act as soon as he can, to make sure that we actually have federal, protections, for LGBTQ people, no matter where we live.
Yeah, which is extremely important. Extremely important.
Right.
A friend of mine, Jasmine Tasaki.
I have a couple guests, by the way, who would like to say hello.
Danica, she said if a girlfriend, Jasmine Tasaki, she has an organization in Tennessee, We Care Tennessee, and she said if we could send her the information of the trans women who are in jail or prison that need support, because that's specifically the type of work that she does.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. If they want to, Jasmine, if you want to follow up with me, and send me an email at deldrome, it's DELDROEM @house.virginia.gov. Please do that, and I'll be able to follow up with you. If you can also just Google my name on the Virginia General Assembly website, and you'll be able to find the email. Just please follow up with me, and I'll I'll follow up with you.
She does amazing work in Tennessee. And sister, if you're watching and you didn't get that, you can easily email me, and then I can do a introduction email between the two. So awesome, awesome, awesome. So you heard that, Brianna? I told you that in group. Now you heard it. Heard it loud and proud, because you had looked at me. So now, what questions do you have? Because when I said it, you didn't. You was like, you didn't really believe me, didn't it, girl?
No, but you know what? It was just so much going on, and like with me, I have been recently turned down for an operation that I had been doing a procedure, and then the optimal all of a sudden was just like no. So, and I was just like, I don't understand, because how can you stop a procedure that is ongoing until they're finished? They just stopped it, and then was like, oh, it's cosmetic and all this stuff. But you knew that from the beginning. You knew what was the certain criteria for me getting this surgery, and you let me get 3 surgeries, and then when I need these other ones, you tell me no. So when Zakia was like, yeah, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, they're gonna pass the bill and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Just wait till July 1st. And then I seen it. So I recently just went to the doctor. I went to another doctor, and I just recently went to another doctor. So I'm gonna see what the insurance say too, because I feel like if you were gonna deny me, you should have denied me from the beginning. That's how I felt. You should have denied me from the beginning, because the doctor told me, he said it's going to be a long journey, and I said, okay, we're in together. But then it's just like they just cut it off in the middle. So how you supposed to deal? And people don't understand, when you're getting operations done as a trans woman, to just stop it in the middle of it, that messes with us mentally. And people don't see that. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. No, it's not whatever. This is my life that you're playing with. So yeah, I'm just waiting on. And like I said, if they turn me down, I'll be texting Zakia. Girl, they turned me down, girl. What we gonna do? We gonna get some pickets or something, get some picket fences or something. But I'm just feeling like hopeful, you know what I'm saying, that they don't turn it down, and understand that if I feel like that's what they need to do, if you're not going to do it, don't do it from the beginning. Just say, hey, we don't cover this. That's what any insurance say, hey, we don't cover this, but you let me get 3 operations and then say, oh no, we ain't doing it because it's cosmetic. That's retarded. Because I want to strangle whoever did it.
Especially when they hadn't really, these procedures were happening to make a complete fix, and that it's like now the last step to repair everything. Now they're saying no.
Correct.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll change. And then if not, we have to do some work. We got to write some letters. We need to talk to Danica. The same way you get Delegate, Deborah Rodman on board with us again. She is gung-ho for the team, and she was instrumental in pulling all of those insurance companies together. And it was me talking about having black market silicone and the route that I had to take.
That's right.
That I think really weigh heavily with them. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm glad to see the ladies that's in the green room, you stepping up and using your voice. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time it was just me. But imagine if it was me and 10 or 12 other trans stories that are, going through that, how much more impactful that would be. So
And,
And
and another and another thing, the doctor, he actually told me, he was just like, what it is with the insurance companies is that the insurance company will say, the doctor say, your surgery is 35,000. Then the insurance will be like, oh, we're only going to give you 15,000. So then where does that leave the patient to come up with the rest of this money? You get what I'm saying? Where does it leave the patient? So now people get these surgeries, which they're not fully surgeries, because you're getting a little bit of money for it. And that's why a lot of doctors are like, oh, I'm not taking this insurance, because it's like pulling teeth for them to get paid. And I don't think it should be like that. If the insurance is there, let us use it.
yeah, Danica, you had something you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say with I didn't. I mean, hello?
Oh no, I thought Danica had some. It looked like Danica was ready to say something. Did you have
we
something?
can.
Okay.
Sure. Just the very, very short thing to just say is that, Zakia, when you were testifying, or like, when we were just having that little round table, and I remember when you were talking about the pumping parties, and the one guy who was like, wait, what are pumping parties? And you were very graceful. You explained everything that they need to know, especially about like, hey, look, this is how silicone injection work when it's done black market style. This is something that a lot of trans people will do, and in particular will end up doing it because, like, look, the body that you have in this, that there are certain procedures, medical procedures, that are deemed elective, which basically means, or cosmetic, which means that they're not going to be covered. But at the same time, the body that you have is part of your dysphoria, and that is not changing unless you do something about it. And thus, you will do something sometimes desperate and dangerous, as long as it corrects that particular problem. As you were talking with that, I remember just looking at the guy and looking at like one of the other insurance reps. She was who was there. She was extremely well dressed, and like, you could tell that a lot of people there, they were there because they wanted to hear, and that was good. But you also could tell that they came from a very heightened level of privilege. They're very well off. These are people who have done very well for themselves, but they're also all cisgender. They don't know this experience. They've never lived this life. And I don't expect most of the population to. But what's so scary is when you look around at this room of executives and you go, these are the people who are in charge of my healthcare, and they don't know what my life is like. They don't know what dysphoria is like. They've never lived this. And this is the first time for some of them that they've even met a trans person who they know of. They've met trans people before, they just don't know it. But when you have that realization, you're like, dear God, how many people have been denied coverage because it was deemed cosmetic or elective by people who, just to be super blunt about it, didn't know what the hell they were talking about. It's scary, you know what I mean?
One of our viewers, Gracie Allen, said that, Zaki, another home run. Danica, we love and support you. You will help mitigate Route 28 problems and do so much more for our community. Both of you keep on keeping on. Gracie Barker.
Thank you, Gracie. And the principal and board of county supervisors just endorsed my Route 28 plan this week. Manassas Park is going to be sending the application to the Commonwealth Transportation Board next month, and then we're going to go get funding for that in 2021. So fingers crossed that the CTV
Work,
approves our
bitch.
application.
Work.
You was working.
It's a lot of
then,
3.5 years of work, all right?
And then Naona Bayer says, in my opinion, I feel as the raw silicone epidemic was in the early 90s, transgender people wasn't getting diagnosed with gender dysphoria. So therefore, a lot of transgender people wasn't getting surgeries in the 90s. I feel the insurance companies should approve all operations, especially when it comes to black market silicone. The insurance companies should approve pre-existing surgeries dealing with raw silicone injection, because silicone leads to major health issues and cancer. And I agree.
I agree. I agree. And when I was hearing you all speak, and you're talking about, they say it's for cosmetic surgery. Have they ever thought about it being, something that could save your life?
No.
Because I'm like, I look at it differently. If I needed a procedure done and my insurance thought it was cosmetic, all I would have to do, the little funky privilege I got, I can get a doctor to say, hey, this is a risk to her life, she needs to have it done, and they're willing to do it for me, and fuck them if they don't want to do it for you. And that's how I feel. And again, that's another thing that pissed me off. This is for your life.
One of the things I mentioned during that roundtable was that facial feminization surgery, for example, is often deemed as cosmetic. It's your face. And it's also the thing that people will literally assault and kill you for.
Yes.
And, I hate the concept of passing privilege. We should be able to look our trans best, our trans self, and that should just be fine. We shouldn't have to be, deemed to be a cis person in the first place. But if you do have that passing privilege, you might not have that. But if you don't, this world can be effing dangerous and deadly toward you. We just had on July 10th in Prince William County in Woodbridge, a trans woman get assaulted, and what she told, the statement she told to Univision afterward was, this guy comes up to her and he says, I don't like people like you. He goes out to his car, he gets something, he comes back, and he just beats her in the face to the point that the side, she looked like she had a grapefruit coming out of her eye. And you just go, that's in 2020, that still exists. And I don't think people understand a day in the life of a trans person, let alone a trans woman of color. In her case, as a Latina, they don't get that just going to work is an act of privilege. And it's just, I knew when I was knocking doors, every door could be my last. I was well aware of that. I also knew that as a white trans woman, it was significantly less likely that would be the case, though not entirely unlikely, just less unlikely. And I was willing to assume that risk because I understood the importance of what, we were trying to accomplish. And at the same time, I kind of have a fatalist attitude about life and campaigning sometimes, which is when it's my time, it's my time. I'm not going to do something overtly stupid. I'm not going to do something that's going to go and inherently put myself in more danger than I think I need to be in. But if it's my time, it's my time. And I've come to accept that. And, I lived afraid for 29 years. I'm not going to live afraid anymore.
Hey.
Yeah, because we encourage the transgender community to protect themselves and arm themselves because of all the violence that's going on. And so we encourage you to do that as well and know how to use a firearm and make sure that you're protected because you never know. And I'm seeing so many people in my community just losing their lives, young women, just losing their lives, trans men. It's just, we're all at risk.
So I kind of want to shift the conversation and bring in some of our other guests who are waiting in the green room. But I want to specifically pop up this that last week at Nations Foundation, we had the Transcend graduation and relaunch of season 2. And Transcend is to uplift, empower, educate, and transcend Virginians, transgender Virginians. So I'm going to welcome to the show our transcend specialist. Give it up for Takira Sproul.
Okay, Takira.
And Miss Destiny Hill. Hey, ladies.
Okay, Destiny.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the dance.
Awesome. Thanks
So,
for having us.
so tell everybody, the viewers, a little bit about the Transcend program.
Well, the Transcend program is a unique program here in Virginia. It's to uplift and empower the trans community here in Virginia. The TISA state is a social skills training intervention aimed at reducing HIV and other sexual risks amongst the trans community in Virginia. But it also teaches a host of other self-building skills.
Awesome, awesome. So, how has it been to be a part of the program and then transition into facilitators and eventually employees of the organization?
Well, for me, it was
Takira?
the journey was so amazing. I remember coming to the T Girls Rock group, and you were talking about Transcend, about and we talked about Transcend. And once I got hired, I was not only facilitating the group, but I was going through the program as well. And thanks to Zakia with this program, I've got so many resources. I've learned so much about myself. From TISA stuff, from the financial literacy class, I've learned so much about how to my life things. So I'm honored, and I'm still learning stuff as we go along. It's a journey. I'm just truly blessed with this job. I'm truly blessed with Transcend because we're truly transforming into the women that we want to be, and I'm just thankful.
Awesome. Any questions from anybody in the den?
The only question I just want to have is that people are asking, and while we have you guys, if you just want to speak about something that you're going to take with you from the program and how you're going to apply it and encourage someone else to join the program, because other people want to know what is it and why should they join.
Well, one of the things we have is our T-System model, which it stands for self-information, using the information that you have to suggest. Also, you're using an assertive voice. So it's really is a great skill building social group to build self-esteem.
Yeah. And then it
And
also,
with me,
go ahead, Takira.
with me, I would tell a person that building a bond with your sisters, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that you have someone, because the group is very confidential. Everything is stayed in group, it stays in group. And just knowing that you have someone, if it ain't but one person in the group, you have that one person you can talk to,
Right.
and you never have to worry about it leaving that area. Just knowing it's a safe place. And just learning the resources you can get out of the group. The resources are so amazing. Once you say you're from Nations or part of the Transcend program, the resources are so plentiful in Transcend. Trust me, it is.
But I think it's not also like it's building community, it's sisterhood, it's empowerment. It's definitely life changing. Like when I listen to the valedictorians specifically that were at the graduation last week, just that message and our words was powerful. How they took those skills and went from being homeless and not having a job to finding housing and attaining a job and being self-sufficient. So that is really what the program is about. And like Danica said, when we weren't really on air, you don't let people tell you what you cannot do because of who you are or where you are. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. You just have to put the work in and do it. So go ahead, Bree. You look like you want to say something.
Y'all know I'm a Kiki of the group. So I just want to say my experience. I didn't graduate. I was there. So I'm going through it again. But I was very skeptical because I don't hang around the girls. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my little house with my little dog, and you know what I'm saying? I really don't be around the girls. I'm much older. So I'm just like really to myself. But every Thursday, I look forward to the group because it's always going to be something. I'm like a sponge. It's always something that I'm going to learn from the group. And it's always going to be something that I can teach other girls about my experience. And that's why I really enjoy the group. And I really would like for other trans women, you know what I'm saying, to come and just check it out. And like Takira said, everything is confidential. And that's a key part too, because a lot of girls feel like that some girls, because of their past, they're still the same way. You know what I'm saying? By telling people business and stuff like that. And it's not like that at all. I really like going. I think I'm the class clown of the group. So, you know, when I come, I'm a stir it up. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna kiki. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make it. I'm gonna make it fun. You know what I'm saying? Make people want to come back. But I really like it, and I really encourage other trans women to come and just check it out. You know what I'm saying? And even though it's incentives, but try to look past the incentives and try to get something to help you and your future endeavors. Like I had a incident, and I talked to Zakia, and she was like, well, use what you learned in the group. And I was just like, I kind of really didn't want to hear what she just said. But I was like, a child, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I actually reflected on what she said, and I went back and I said, you know what? Okay. Let me go here and go back and look into some things that I learned, and it really worked out. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I was ready to blow, and I had to say, you know what, take a breather. You could talk, use it.
Think about yourself. Think about
Information.
think about the situation.
Yes.
The trouble that's gonna come from that.
Yes.
Communication and come up with an alternative that is going to work for you. So suggest something that you are going to be able to live
Right.
with.
And I really did, and I did that, and the outcome, I got what I wanted to say across without hurting the person's
Right.
feelings and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it really did work. It really did, because you know I'm a firecracker. But I was just like, I can't do this, because you have to work. Some people that you have to work with all the time. You know what I'm saying? You just can't be going off on people like that. So I'm really glad that I used my sister model. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
And we're going to pop in two more individuals who are a part of the Transcend program to hear their perspective. So let's welcome Kimberly King, who is also the current reigning Duchess of State.
Duchess.
Come on, Queen. Okay, Queen.
And then Zavaria Lee.
Okay, Zavaria.
The den is full and we all social distancing. We all in the den social distancing.
So, as graduates, as participants of the program, and Zavaria, you actually graduated because you did everything. How did it feel to be a participant and be involved in all of the programs? You there, Zavaria?
Or is Kimberly there?
All
I'm
right.
here.
So, Kimberly, how did it feel being a part of the program?
For me, it's a great experience. If y'all can hear me. I learned a lot about myself in the program. I learned a lot of skills that I'm going to be able to take with me. A lot of issues that I had dealt with about my transition. The program actually helped me work through some of those family issues and understand other people's point of view, and us coming to a common ground where we can respect one another, and me just giving them a little bit more insight and educating them on being trans, because a lot of people aren't educated on what it's like to be trans and what trans people go through. So it was good on showing us how to communicate and express ourselves, and also use tones and not get upset, but also get our point across. And so I was glad to be a part of the program.
Thank you, Zavaria. You with us now? Can we hear us? So, how would you encourage other trans people? Because the program is for everybody that's trans men, trans women, gender non-conforming individuals. We know that all trans people are impacted greatly. So, how would you encourage other trans individuals to become a part of the program?
I would educate them by just speaking highly of the program, because I know for me, it took me a while to join the program. You had reached out to me just come to the program, check us out, you know. And I had been putting it off, and finally, I gave it a shot. I came in and I fell in love with the sisterhood, the relationships that I'm building. Um, like I said, the information that I'm receiving, that I'm soaking up. So I would just encourage them to say, if you're looking for a safe place, if you're looking for someone that's going through what you're going through, we may not be going through the same thing, but it's all related. So we all deal with some of the same issues. And just to know somebody is always there for you, to listen to you, to be a shoulder to cry on, somebody to uplift you when you're feeling down, to let you know that it's going to be okay, and there's a way to work through what you're going through. I know for me, I always felt like I was a late bloomer, but to be a part of the group and know that, I'm not the only one that felt that way. So you know what I'm saying? It was just refreshing to know that somebody else is going through what I'm going through, or they think the way I think. So it just helped me be a better me. It's very encouraging because, since then I've landed 2 good jobs. I've bought a new car. I've been blessed. So it's definitely, it will make you a better person. It definitely will make you a better person. So I will just let them know, just give it a shot. If you just want to come to one meeting, don't stray away. Just come and sit in. You ain't got to say much, and just soak up whatever you can soak, and I'm pretty sure you'll be back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, Gwen.
And
Okay,
I
Gwen.
just have to say, I remember when Transcend was just an idea, and just to see from the idea and to see the end of season 1 going into season 2, it was everything that we talked around the table. It was everything, and you all made it everything. Like I just want to cry because it's like I remember those words from Zakia and what she wanted Transcend to be for ladies like you all. And it wasn't easy, but you all worked it. And I'm not a trans woman, but any trans woman I meet, I speak of the Transcend program. And I talk about my sister's Destiny, to Kira, and I want them to come aboard because I see what it's done for the trans community. That's Black, that's white, that's men, that's women. So it's just an honor to work with nations and to work with the Transcend program. And hopefully COVID can get out of our way and we can be back in the office and I can be there.
So Sophia McIntosh saying congratulations to all, and I love you too.
Yes, Mother Hyena.
Yes.
And I would like to.
She hosted the virtual Black Pride today, and shout out to UGRC and my whole Black Pride committee and team for doing that thing and doing Black Pride virtually. So yes, keeping us proudful even through the pandemic. So ladies, this is a perfect opportunity for you to ask questions of Danica, anything that's been on your brains, minds, any questions from our audience. There's no questions from our audience at the moment, but anything that you wanted to ask her while she's here, up close and personal.
Hey, Zakia, may I piggyback on the question you just said before this, please?
Yeah.
So when you said what was something we can do to encourage people to come to Transcend, and anybody who knows me, know me personally outside of Nation, Pretty and many others that's watching right now, my past was horrible, was really, really horrible. So anyone who's looking now and would like to come to Transcend, just look at my past and look at me now, and believe change does. It's change. When people give you a second chance in life, when you've been through and people know your personal livelihood, what you've been through in life, and someone's willing to leave your past in the past and give you that chance, because I would never see myself, never, where I'm at now. And I'm just so honored to be able to help people, especially my trans women of color, the way I've always been helped. So to me, yes, I am grateful for my job. I'm very grateful for the job, but to get the resources and to get the knowledge, it's amazing. It's truly, truly amazing. And I know sometimes it may not seem like it, but I'm just so forever thankful that I can get to go to Nations Foundation every day and learn so many different things about my life, about the work field, about how to help others. So come to Transcend. Trust me, it's a program that you will never forget. It's an experience you will never forget. And before I finish, I will say this. I remember when the program first started, and we was in one of our sessions. I don't know if the kid gonna remember this. And we were talking about HIV and AIDS. And we was all so wrapped up in the knowledge we was getting that night, because that kid was facilitating, that we had passed the time limit. Like, we didn't care about no incentives that night. We didn't care about what time it was. And Zacchaeus was like, oh my God, it's like 10:30, it's almost 11 o'clock. And it was so amazing how everybody was intrigued and so into the conversation about learning about HIV and AIDS. And I was like, some things I didn't know. And you're never too old to learn stuff. When she was like telling certain stuff, I didn't know my own self. And it was a room packed of all trans women learning something. And I don't know if you remember that night, Zacchaeus, but it was beautiful. To me, it was so beautiful to know that some people don't come. It's more than just incentives. And coming to Nations for a job, to me, it's more than a job. It's life. You learn about yourself every day. I know I'm not perfect. I'm still learning things about Takira, but Transcend will change your life, not just in your livelihood, but I mean, just all the way around. I'm truly, truly thankful to be a Transcend specialist. I'm truly thankful for working with Destiny. We are great team players. And my boss, Zakia McKenzie, is amazing. She pushes me to keep doing things that sometimes I'm like, girl, I don't know. But I get it done. And I thank God for that push. But I'm telling you all, if you know my past and look at me now, Pretty says it all the time, I would never see myself here. But I'm just grateful. I'm just truly grateful.
Amen.
I'm grateful. And thank you again, Zakia.
You're welcome. So, Danica, if someone is interested, if other trans women, trans people are interested in politics, where does one begin?
Sure. So I'll give you a few things. If you are a trans person who's interested in politics, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to the Victory Institute and the Victory Fund. And the Victory Institute, they do a LGBTQ candidate campaign training program. I went through it November 17th to 20th in 2016 in Texas. And they will teach you how to run for office. And if you're also a Democratic woman and they are trans inclusive, reach out to Emerge Virginia, for example, or Emerge America, and they will also train you how to run for office. There's a number of organizations dedicated to training different people from different backgrounds, and so that you are in a room with other people who are actually like you. And that's one of the things that is so just amazing and different about that Victory experience. For example, my training class, I had Andrea Jenkins in my training class. She's now Minneapolis State Council member in the very district where the police murdered George Floyd. And she has been a nationwide leader. We have seen her talk about grace under fire, the way she has conducted herself and has called for peace and has called for justice and liberation. She's so inspirational. I mean, just what an incredible human being she is. What an incredible woman she is. And I got to train with her. I got to know someone like her before she was elected. You know, I got to meet so many different people from so many walks of life. And I would strongly encourage someone to, you know, not only, you know, go to a candidate campaign training program, but volunteer for a campaign whose values you believe in. Find a candidate, find someone who shares your values, and or at least to a point. No one is, I don't have the same voting record as any other member of the Virginia General Assembly. I'm the only person who has my voting record. That doesn't mean I expect people to agree with me all the time, nor does it mean I expect people to disagree with me all the time. It just is. But find someone who you agree with most of the time and go and volunteer for that person. Go help go knock doors, go learn what it means to be engaged in a campaign, and then what it means to be engaged in policy. Come on into our office, come on in, you know, and find an opportunity to just get to see what happened, you know, like how legislation is made. Show up at your planning commission hearing, show up at town council. I can tell you on one hand how many times in 10.5 years of journalism covering local government I ever saw trans people come up to a microphone to testify on land use issues. Land use issues affect us just like anyone else. And we often just won't make ourselves present because we're afraid for X, Y, or Z reasons. And we have to be vulnerable enough to be visible in the first place.
Yeah.
The last thing I would just mention with that is, you know, a couple quotes I really like. If not you, who? If not now, when?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
And that's what too. I wanted to ask because I'm kind of a third party on the show, and I've really been looking into parties such as the Green Party or the Birthday Party or Unity 2020. And so, what is your stance on the third parties that support equality for all and have some of the protections and legislation and agenda and goals that kind of identify more with me, because I'm kind of a voter who's torn between, do we continue with the duopoly that's just dominating our government, and where are we at today? We're here because of that. So when is the right time to start looking at third party, and how do you feel about third party?
Well, so the first thing on this is that as an American, you have the right to organize and under any party that you wish. And if you're undocumented, by the way, if you're a non-citizen, you have the right to volunteer and to be engaged just as much as anyone else. And so that's the first thing that I would just mention, is that even as a Democrat, I can in no way tell you that you were wrong to have the values that you have and that you found a party where you support that. For example, if I was elected in the UK, for example, I wouldn't be part of the Labour Party. I would be part of the Scottish National Party. Like the SNP is really appealing to me. But what I would tell you is that I'm going to look at this in two different contexts. One is the very immediacy of 2020 and then beyond. In the very immediacy of 2020, when third-party candidates are not qualifying for the ballot in all 50 states right now, and in fact, some third parties are qualifying in very few states, we will have a very binary choice in terms of who is going to be elected, between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And given Joe Biden's support for the Equality Act, and given that, when I met him, he was standing next to his son Beau's casket in Dover, Delaware. And I drove out there to tell Joe just how I just wanted to thank him for raising someone with the character of Beau, because when Beau was fighting for a trans rights bill when he was Delaware Attorney General that ended up passing and getting signed into law, I told the then sitting vice president in 2015 that Beau is fighting for people like me. At that point, Joe put his hands on my shoulders and his eyes were quartermass. He was clearly exhausted. And he looked me in the eye and he says, "We mean that. We mean that." He then lifted up the back of my right hand. He kissed the back of my hand and brought me in for a hug. To have the President of the United States next year be someone who I personally know is willing to look a trans woman in the eye and tell her rights are worth protecting,
Yes.
that to me is someone worth voting for. And that's someone where even if I have disagreements over X, Y, or Z issues, I know that we at least have a seat at the table. And I know we at least will be able to be in the room. And as Zakiya and I proved, having a seat at the table literally changed lives. It's the reason why HB 1429 passed this year when it didn't the last 2 years. That and a Democratic majority certainly have helped. And so what I would tell you, though, about long-term, however, in terms of third party, is first and foremost, identify, okay, if you're part of Green, what are those Green Party values that you support in the first place? Number two, why are they having ballot access issues? And three, remember this, political parties come from the public. They're people. When I ran for office, I was unemployed, uninsured, driving a 92 Dodge Shadow America. That is not the background of someone who is about to unseat a 26-year incumbent who had been in office since she was 7 years old, in my case, okay? So that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. The only way that the Democratic Party changes is when the people who run for office change. When the physical being of who we are is different. When we see ourselves running for elected office and say, this is not the sole domain of the rich and powerful. This is for us too. This is for us too. I had $30,000 in credit card debt running in campaign. I was living with my mom. I was broke as all hell. But I ran because, God damn it, I had something to say. I had something to contribute to. And why the hell should my financial situation or any other identifier in my life, why should that hurt me? If I have good ideas and I'm qualified, then I should be able to bring them to the table. Because this is my America too. It's your America too. And it's time for us to run it. And so what I would tell you is, if you feel called to, be part of a third party, go get into the actual organization of that party. Go find out from the inside about what it's doing right, what it's doing wrong, and then figure out how to make it a better, organization. And if not, if you feel that you do share some values with the Democrats, then come sit down and talk to people like me or others who we can basically figure out, where do we have common ground? Where can we agree in the first place? And what public policy issues can we work on together, so that not only are your views reflected, but you're actually listened to, and the expertise that you as an individual bring to the table is actually respected and is turned into public policy. You look at someone like Zakia, you look at someone like me, you look at us as the two people in Virginia who are about to have landmark legislation because we worked on it together. And then we also worked on another bill together, and we recognize the Trans Day of Remembrance as November 20th this year and every year after. We worked on that together. Zakia gave me a name of someone in Nori who I would have forgotten otherwise. And I'm so glad, Zakia, I'm so glad you not only took that phone call, but that you took the time to read over that resolution and help me make it the best it was going to be. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you take the time that you do to be so involved, because you change lives. You really do. Right. And you respect lives.
Zakia for president! Zakia for president! Zakia for president! I'm telling y'all, Zakia for president!
Zakia, I would love for you to run for office.
I told you.
You would.
If you can dream it, you can achieve it.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We all gonna do it. Zakia for office. Office. Zakia for office.
Well, Danica, I do have a question for you, because I know when you first were running, it was like this big thing. That's all we heard about. I knew you were going to win. I knew you were going to win because it was time for change. So my question to you is, where were you when you got the word that you had just did what we knew you were going to do in Manassas?
Sure. So I was at Grafton Street Pub in Gainesville. It was one of 3 victory parties I was supposed to go to. I was supposed to go there with Indivisible Nova West, just to say thank you to my volunteers there. I was soaking wet. I mean, like, it had been raining all day. I couldn't afford boots at the time, so I had wrapped my feet in plastic bags, one from the Dollar Tree and one from Marshall's. I still remember the bags I had wrapped my feet in. I slid those into my Mary Janes. I had my umbrella. I had one glove on one hand, my left hand, so I could shake people's hand with my right hand. And I had my heavy metal hoodie zipped up and everything. And I was out there working the polls until right at 7 o'clock when they closed at Tyler Elementary School in Haymarket. Well, Gainesville, but it's right on the border of Haymarket. And then I went over to Grafton Street. The results started coming in so fast, it caught me off guard. And so, like, I couldn't go to all 3 parties. I only had to go to 2 of them. And within the hour, my phone kept ringing, and I'm looking, I was like, well, all right, 18 precincts out of 20 have reported. 19 have reported, but as a reporter, I always want to verify my facts. I want to make sure everything's in first. It's just, that will always be part of my brain. I want to vet information before, I declare victory. And we were up by like 10 points at that point. We ended up winning by 8. And then for whatever reason, I look at my phone, and I had a dumb phone. Oh, by the way, I couldn't even afford a smartphone or a data plan at the time, or like a real data plan. So I had a dumb phone at the time. I won a campaign on a dumb phone. And I looked down at the caller ID, and it was one of those no-name ones. And I answer the phone, and this guy says, "Hey, I'm with Joe Biden. Joe Biden would like to speak to you." would you like to take a phone call? I was like, yeah, I would. And he came on, this is November 7th, 2017. And I'm now pacing up and down the hallway at Grafton Street. And he says, Bianca, congratulations. Congratulations. And that's how I found out I won, by Joe Biden called me. And
I know that's right.
I said hot damn
Give us all the
when it
girls.
came on the news. I said hot damn. I said she done did it. I said ha ha ha. I said she did it. And that's exactly what I did. So, I had to tell you what I did when you won because it was awesome. It
Well,
was
I'll tell you what,
awesome.
you can, let me see if I can pull this up right now. I'm going to put in the chat an actual video of the moment where I told people that we had won the race. I dug and dug and dug on Twitter and found this thing. Let's see if I can find it now that I actually, here it is. Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna put this. I'm actually gonna put this in the live comments. No, I'm not. I'm gonna put this in the project. Okay, here you go. So I'm gonna send this to y'all now. And the problem is right now, like on live comments, I can't post on your page.
Yeah.
Usually a pain page, and so I need to. It would only go up on my personal one, and I try not to do that. So, anyways, there's a video, and the audio is just. I swing my hands back and forth for a minute. I quiet everyone down, and I say, "Let's see if you can hear it."
You could share screen, Danica, if you want to share your Twitter screen.
Oh, can I do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a button at the bottom that says share screen.
Yeah, sure. So let me see. All right, let me see. Share screen. There it is. Okay. So we'll do that. Share screen. Okay. Is it? Let's see. Share audio. I don't think it's working for me here. Share. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. All right. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my Twitter screen?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look really close, you can see the bags on my feet.
I see them.
I see the bags.
But you were fierce, so it doesn't matter. Yes.
That's sick, man. That's sick, man.
Yes, yes.
You look just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is
Yeah.
my tear ducts were so dry. I literally was like dry crying. I couldn't even actually cry. I was just like this, like I know things are supposed to be coming out and they're not because I was so dehydrated from 13 hours of campaigning. But that's a special moment. Yeah.
Life changing, historical.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched that in a while,
Thank
so
you.
that was good.
So, Kira, Royalty had a question. He said, what is something you have learned in Transcend that you can guide or help through your reign?
I learned so much in Transcend. I've learned that in Transcend, one of the main things I've learned was trust. And the reason why I said trust is because when someone's able to tell you they trust you with anything personal like going on, to me, that means everything to me. That someone trusting you means everything to me. So I've learned that, and just that alone means a lot. So that's one of the main things I've learned. But one more thing, I know you said one thing, but one more thing I learned too was to humble myself. I had to learn how to shut my mouth and just humble myself. And me doing that, I reaped many blessings.
Awesome. So this has been an amazing conversation tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in.
Yes.
if we could just go around and give some final words or final whatever you want to leave the viewers with. So I guess we'll start off with Takira.
Well, she said, my name is Takira. I am one of the transcend specialists at Nations. One thing I would like to leave to all the trans in Virginia, please call or email me and Destiny at Nations Foundation and join Transcend. It's a wonderful program. You won't be disappointed. And I can guarantee you, you'll be just like Pretty said earlier, you'll be anxious for Thursday night to get here to see and to hear what's going on next.
Thank you, Takira. Destiny.
Yes, my name is Destiny. This has been an amazing experience. I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of Transcend, to share my knowledge, and also this amazing program that you have bring to us to facilitate to the girls. It's been an amazing experience. So much you can learn. Our financial literacy, our queer healthy love. Please come join. You won't regret it. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being a part of the group tonight.
And Kimberly.
Hi, my name is Kimberly, reigning Duchess of Nations. It's definitely been a wonderful experience for me. I encourage any trans out there to come check out the program. They have a lot to offer. Box any of the specialists. You can box me. I can guide you in the right direction. And I just thank you guys for having me be a part of Diva Den tonight.
Thank you, Kim. Delegate Ron.
First, just one more time, thank you, Zakia, for everything that you do and for giving such a warm house and a safe place for so many people who are so vulnerable and don't always have a place where they can see someone else who's like them, and to do it in a safe environment where they know they can just be honest. They can trust people like you were just talking about. And you can, and you know, like as a kid, do you remember when I stopped over at Nations for that one night during session? And it was like 11 o'clock at night. I think I had like 8 or 9 different things that were on my schedule that day. That was the last one of them. And I was just remembering being in that room and seeing people who were having a good time, having fun, talking to each other, being super real as shit with each other, which I love. And just taking that minute to step out of General Assembly life, of legislator life, even though I was there to, like, you know, give some guidance and stuff. It was just so good to be around people who didn't have a political agenda. They didn't have some that they wanted for me. They didn't have some that they wanted, like, for this. They just wanted to be real and talk with each other and just have, you know, just succeed together. And sometimes when you have dysphoria, sometimes when you're in your transition, you don't like the results that are in front of you. And you can be left wondering why. You can be left wondering, I wish I had started earlier. I wish things were different. I wish it was safer. I wish I had been born different. I wish. And then you are around a group of people who have a lot of the same wishes as you, but they also have a lot of same dreams as you about where to go. Those wishes are based on what happened, and we can't control what happened, but our dreams are what we want to do. It's where we want to go. And there's a line in a Life of Agony track that I love, where it's a psychologist who's talking to the guy, his therapist, and he says, let that scar on your wrist remind you of where you've been, not where you're going. You're a survivor. You've been through it. You're on the other side now. So that's what I want to leave you with is let that scar remind you of where you've been, not where you're going.
Amen.
Rihanna.
Oh, girl, I don't know if I could come behind her. You know, let me look at my archives. I don't know if I could come behind her. But what I want to say is just love yourself, love the skin that you're in, be you, don't live for somebody else. Just really love yourself. And Zakia, for office, I don't know what office. I don't care if it's in a corner, on the side of a building. But Zakia, for office, y'all, we are going to do it. I'm going to speak it into existence. Zakia for office.
Dan, can you find something? Because this woman been saying that for the last year that I need to run for office, and it's something that I've considered. I really have. So you never know. You never know. Zena boy.
Yes, and I want to be the press secretary for Zakia because who can speak for her better than I? I will make sure that it's said in a way that everyone will understand what my sister says. But no, I just want to end it with, like Brianna said, just love everybody. Just love everybody. You know, we all go through our mess, you know, but what's going on in the world today, we can only change that, y'all. And I love my sisters on this call and in this world. So
Alice the Don, thank you. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, hey, hold on, Dallas.
oh
There you go.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. As one of the only he, him that identifies on this show, I just want all the fellas out there, don't hesitate to reach out to me, especially any Pageant Kings promotion, anything you're doing. Shout out to Kings of Conversation, again, just for holding it down for the men. So thank you all for tuning in to the Den. Thank you for the Cash App. And I just want to give a shout out to Dwayne Crowder with the Vision for Hope, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, for their Trans Hope House. So I just wanted to make sure to shout out. You can go to their website. It's a vision, the number 4 hope.org. So just shout out. They did a house for transgender women, and they named them after activists and leaders in the community in Atlanta, Georgia. So I just wanted to make sure to shout them out. And again, just shout out to all the entertainers out there doing virtual shows, because you're keeping us entertained during these times, and we're not able to congregate and see each other. So just thank you for all of the work that you're doing and everyone contributing to those virtual shows. And I just love all of y'all, so thank you.
Now, Zakia.
But I want to thank everybody for joining me. I want to thank all of the guests, Shakira, Kimberly, Delegate Ron. Thank you so much for being open and candid with us this evening and talking to us. Thank you for all the work that you have done for Virginia, for Manassas, but also for trans folks. And I just appreciate you so much. And with that being said, we always like to give our viewers big smooches before we leave, so we could all send them some love and kisses. And
Yes.
thank y'all.
love you all.
All right.
Legends, statements, store. Ow. I'm here. Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. And I'm so here. Legends, statements.